Matt Hill back again with some tips on your seated squat. Okay, we're talking about the seated squat today because of how much we sit, right? Seated squat is probably one of the most important exercises to understand and to learn neutral spine mechanics, or just spinal mechanics in general. It's a very slow, broken down exercise that you can really prioritize your spine and torso, posture position, and then also prioritize shins and neutral knee and foot position too. So it's an incredibly good exercise to kind of understand and to practice. It will help us kind of stay upright, and it's going to help us in the future to kind of understand what's going on with our imbalances, structural, muscular type imbalances, and help us to kind of work on some of that stuff in the future. So here is some of kind of our ideas and things that we have been working on with seated squat. This one is really great, maybe one of the best squats for organizing your spine, because you can really take the time to prioritize it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to screw our feet into the ground. That's going to get our butt on. That's going to help us control the rib cage, which helps keep a neutral spine. Okay, gives me a nice two-hand roll. Okay, good. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to screw the arms in, or shoulders back and down, right? Kind of break the bar. That's like what I say when I twist the bar, break the bar. That's shoulders back and down. Okay, good. Now I have all the slack out of my system. That's going to help me as I transition, as I break the knees here, push the knees out, to keep the tension more in my posterior chain and in the middle of my foot. Okay, so controlling slack, again, helps us set position and set tension so that we wind up in neutral positions through transition. Okay. And the seated squat is one of the best exercises to do that, because we do it so often, we sit so much, like I said, and we can practice it a lot, okay? So you can see that when I sat down here, I wound up relatively neutral. You can see a good, nice two-hand rule. I didn't wind up overextended. I didn't wind up underextended either. I wound up somewhere in the middle, okay? Good. So you can watch as I do that. It's going to kind of look relatively mechanical, and it really should. It really should. You should see how pressing the knees out and kind of giving up the torso a little bit helps to keep the spine straight and keep it neutral. Okay, so this is good practice in teaching us before we do a heavy back squat or front squat or overhead squat to really prioritize neutralizing the spine. Okay, so that's why I think the seated squat is probably the most important, is because it really gives us the foundation or the base for understanding spinal mechanics. Okay, so again, we just want to make sure that we're really getting the tension in our posterior chain, really taking up the slack, really giving up that torso. I mean, because we have the option to kind of do that, we want to do that. That helps us get the shins a little bit more back, a little more vertical, and a little less knee over toe, right? That knee over toe, that's a lot of shearing, and that's when we start kind of wearing stuff out, start getting inflammation there. And then also, you know, if we don't take that slack out, we wind up with the knees in here. You can see, like, I wind up soft. I can't actually find a good neutral position now, okay? They actually call it the pelvic gimbal, or gamble, in that once you've sat down and you didn't take up the slack when you did it and prioritize a neutral spine, you can't come back and find it. There's no way for your body to kind of reclaim that neutral position. And literally what you gotta do is you gotta stand back up, you gotta start over, you gotta sit back down, and you gotta control the tension in the slack again. Okay, so now I found it. And when I do that, we've actually found out that if you do sit down and you take the slack out and you control the tension when you do that, prioritize a neutral spine, is that you actually give yourself the ability to sit more organized, keep things more neutral for about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. Whereas if you don't do that, you've lost the neutral spine, and we're going to start getting things adapting in the wrong way. And eventually we're going to start talking more about that and how the positions and the things that we're doing, which is a lot of sitting, right, is changing the length of our muscular structure and then therefore the position of our skeletal structure. Okay, so understanding kind of how to sit well and how to kind of perform this movement, especially the seated squat, helps kind of give you an understanding of kind of why understanding all of that is important, and understanding why some of the mobility tools and things that we're going to be learning here shortly are going to give us insight into kind of what's going on with us. So the seated squat, one of the most important exercises, one of probably the most overlooked exercises there is, but it's something that we have to practice more and kind of understand and study and be better at. So let's do that. We'll have more tips and hints here in the future and kind of probably go back on it just because it's such an important exercise to kind of go over and look at. All right. Thanks, guys.